So for this episode of Adam Answers, I'm going to be answering a question from Chris McMullen, and Chris sent this in via Facebook comment. And so here's the question. It says, I've been wondering about using resources for the purpose of the desired outcome. So if I'm working with somebody whose desired outcome is to find peace in themselves, and when I get to resources and find out that they are really good at cooking, I start asking questions about what it takes to be a good cook. What do we call people who take time to follow recipes? And they might say something like diligent. Is it then my job to link diligent to finding peace in themselves? Or could it be a tool for broadening and building the client's self-affirmation without having to build it into the description? So Chris is asking a really, really important question. And in some sense, I'm going to take one step back and say, he's asking, what is my role as a clinician? Is my role simply to stick with a desired outcome? So if they add a word like diligent, is it my job to link it to the desired outcome? Or is my job something different than that? Embedded in his question, it is like to build self-affirmation. And I would say there's a bit of both in here, but I think overall, I would say our job is to get a description of the desired outcome. And so if you look at the diagram of the diamond down that left side, you see the three-step process, desired outcome, description, and closing. And the reason why we put that there, in essence, is to say, like, this is your overall job. Now, Chris is saying we get into the resources, in essence, if we say, if you notice more peace showing up, we want to link these resources that have already been used, that the client already possesses, in essence, to say there's evidence of your desired outcome. The description is a description of the presence of the desired outcome. And so in some sense, the easiest way to do this, if somebody starts talking about like, I'm really good at cooking, and you say, what makes you so good at cooking? And they say, I follow recipes really well. And you say, well, what do we call people who follow recipes in that way? They say diligent. One of the easiest ways that we can like link that back to the desired outcome of peace is we say, what impact does following recipes like that, in that way, in that really diligent way, in what way does that contribute to peace showing up while you're cooking? And if somebody were to kind of stand on the sideline and they watched you kind of consult the recipe and follow it in this diligent way, what would let them know that peace is present in that moment, that this kind of diligence is contributing to the presence of peace? And that begs the question, why do we want to do that? Why do we want to link diligence to peace? The answer is because as people articulate those connections, it helps them, in essence, to build neural networks that say, one, while I'm cooking, peace can be present. If I'm diligent, peace can be present. And I can then take that diligence and I can shift it to anywhere, right? And I can say, where else are you diligent? Maybe they're diligent at work, maybe they're diligent at school, maybe, whatever. And I say, as diligence shows up in those places, how do you know that it's the kind of diligence that contributes to peace also being present? Because they're not here to say, I want to be better at diligence. They're here saying, I want to be better at peace. The change, the transformation they're hoping for is peace. But they already are really, really good at something. And in some sense, it's our job to say, if you use diligence in the service of getting peace, how would you know what would be different? What impact would it have? What meaning does it have? And so in some sense, we want to say, use all the things that you're really good at, and those things are going to help you to be in the presence of your desired outcome. So I would say this is precisely why we do resource talk, because they have strengths, they have resources that are going to contribute to the presence of their desired outcome. So I would say, remember always, whatever they add, whatever strengths, skills, resources they give you, hold on to them and then put them into the puzzle of the transformation they're hoping to achieve. Beautiful question. Hope that answer was helpful. If you have other questions as a result of my answer here, please submit them and I'll do another video about them. But in the meantime, do not forget that all the resources that you're gathering, they are in service of the desired outcome. And so make sure that you make that connection.